Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. Why are you laughing?
Why the long pause?
These paws.
Yes.
I'm waving my paws around now for people who are listening to this. Welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I'm Vicky Fraser and this is my husband Joe.
Hello.
Hello. And today it's about 21 degrees outside. It's gorgeous. Wearing turquoise mascara to match my... I was going to say ears then. Hair. I'm very hungry.
Vicky is very hungry right now. I'm not sure recording this podcast is a good idea.
It's a great idea. And we are drinking herbal tea. I'm drinking pomegranate and raspberry, and Joe is drinking some kind of a fennel and licorice concoction.
Kind of tastes like hot pond water.
Good. I'm glad. That's, good.
Excellent.
Anyway, we're on the final deadly sin of writing a book.
Thank goodness.
I know. And it's Wrath. How do you say it? Wrath.
I've always said wrath, but I've heard people say wrath.
I think posh people say Roth.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm not
Wrath.
posh.
But first, before that, we're going to talk about what we're reading. Joe, what are you reading?
I feel like this aspect of your podcast is designed to specifically poke at those amongst us who make some commitment to a large series of never-ending fantasy novels and mock us. I'm reading The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan.
Still. And I'm reading fiction. I'm reading The Starless Sea, which I was reading last time as well, but I love it so much that I'm reading it really slowly, deliberately, because I don't want it to end. And it's just really, really great, and I just love it. It's like a story within a story within a story within a story.
Nice.
Oh, it's really great. So The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And non-fiction, I'm just finishing Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson.
Okay.
The idiots that I'm surrounded by is currently me. Having... I'm supposed to be almost finished the first draft of my book now, and I'm not, and I've literally forgotten how to form sentences, and I just hate everything. I'm at that stage of writing a book.
Nice. That's the fun stage, right?
No, I'm barely into writing it. It's like I've written like a very tiny percentage of the number of words that I need to do, and I hate everything.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I've been sitting here this morning, I wrote a bunch of stuff, and then I looked at it and I was like, well, that's a big bag of shit, and just stopped, which is like, that's fine. It's my first draft. It's my shitty first draft. It's supposed to be a big bag of shit. But no, it's not. I'm going to have some food and try again.
I think eating might be key.
Hate everything. So what have we been doing in quarantine? People, you need to go to YouTube and watch the video version of this podcast, because you will notice that Joe has got a bright orange bonze.
I've got crisis hair. See, in my normal life, I'm a grown up, right? I'm an adult. I go and meet serious people doing serious things, talking about serious topics. And given that I'm not doing that at the moment, I was like, might as well have a crisis hair colour. So I've gone bright orange. We bleached it a while back, and now I've gone bright orange.
Yeah. I think it's cute. And a bit earlier, he had a daisy in his hair as well.
Oh, I don't know where that's gone.
It looks super cute. You look really cute. And you kind of match your jumper. I don't know why you're wearing a jumper. It's like 53 degrees outside.
Well...
Celsius, not Fahrenheit. That would be cold.
You get... your office is kind of nice and out in the garden and in the sunshine, and I sit in the big stone house that's cold.
Did you notice the loadedness with which he said that? You've got such a nice office and I'm sitting in a horrible place.
No, it's fine. I'm perfectly comfortable, thank you.
Good. So what have we've been digging in the garden. So we've dug 2 raised beds. We've dug all of the weeds out. Planted 110 spring onions and about 20 mizuna and 20 rocket. Uncovered the asparagus.
Found asparagus,
which is cool. At the moment, we've got 6 or 7 stalks coming up. Repotted the tomatoes. I've been road raged and followed into Morrison's by a total shithead. I've been training my splits. I've been practicing the guitar. You've been practicing your ukulele. And we've been making bread.
Making bread and cake.
Yeah, you've been making a maize cake. And we've both been making a maize bread. It's really good. So we're going to make more bread later.
Yes, we do need more bread because we've just about finished the last loaf.
Yeah, so we're going to do that in a bit after lunch. And now we're on to Deadly Sin number 7, Wrath or Wrath. What?
We trimmed Picard's horn.
We did trim Picard's horn because Picard, one of our tiny sheep, has magnificent curly horns. They're smaller than like an intact ram's would be because our boys are wethers. They've got no nuts. But his horns are quite big and curly for a wether. But one of them was growing right into his face and it was beginning to press. It was really close to his eye.
Just about touched his face.
And it was beginning to bother him. And so Joe, BJJ wrestled him to the ground and held him down, and I got a hacksaw and just gently hacksawed off about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of his horn.
Yep.
And there was no blood and no tears, and everybody was fine, and then he ate strawberries, and he was very happy.
Yeah.
Because Picard loves strawberries.
He will do pretty much anything for a strawberry.
And if you want to see him eating strawberries, which is the most joyful thing you'll ever see, you need to follow me on Instagram at treefrogtoe, all one word, and there's plenty of pictures of Picard, and there's a little video of Picard eating a strawberry. He doesn't just eat a strawberry though. I don't think it's just the taste he likes. I think it's the texture, because
he like chomps and squelches his way through them.
He squelches it, yeah. So he's like, nom, 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 and it's great.
I mean, you wouldn't want it in a 5-star restaurant sat next to you.
Oh, he could eat in a 5-star restaurant.
Probably couldn't really. The maitre d' would kind of tell him to.
He would rampage around the restaurant.
But no, he's for a sheep in a field eating strawberries. Good thing.
He's super cute. Anyway, deadly sin number 7, wrath. Do you know what the punishment for wrath is in the Bible, Joe?
Oh, well, none of the other punishments in the Bible have borne an awful lot of resemblance to anything that makes sense.
Well, this kind of does, because I can imagine that if you got angry enough, you might do this to somebody.
Oh, okay. Is it repeatedly being beaten about the head with clubs?
No, it's being dismembered alive.
Dismembered alive, okay.
Yeah. So that's what will happen to you in hell if you exhibit the deadly sin of wrath.
Okay.
I think we're all screwed.
Pretty much.
But this is about writing a book, so would you like to find out how I've twisted this deadly sin into writing?
I'm guessing you've got a really, really long shoehorn and wrestled it very effectively into a book writing shoe.
Yes.
That didn't work.
No.
Sorry.
So, moving swiftly on, if we listen to Yoda, we know that anger is a product of fear, right?
And fear leads to hate.
Fear leads to anger.
Oh, fear.
Anger leads to hate.
Okay.
And hate leads to the dark side.
Okay.
And I can't believe you just got your Star Wars lore wrong.
It's been a while.
And in real life, that's not so far off, I don't think, because anger, if you let it eat away at you, is really destructive.
Yes.
And so I think it's, I don't know, it's like that road rage dude and my reaction to him, neither of which were productive. So road rage dude, to cut a long story short, was like swerving around wildly and generally driving like a total dick, as some people do. Behind me. And he was in his 50s or 60s. This was not like a young person. This was an old bloke, old twat. And he was kind of swerving wildly, and he swerved wildly into the right-hand lane just as I was indicating right to move into the right-hand lane. And he took exception to that because obviously I cut him up, which I did not. And he called me a wanker, and so I stomped on a brake, turned around and told him to fuck off. Which, you know, possibly wasn't the best reaction, but I was out shopping for all of the neighbours, and I was just like, you know what, I don't need this shit, and I'm a bit stressed, and blah, blah, blah. So I thought no more of it and carried on. And when we got to Morrison's, there's a little roundabout by Morrison's, he saw me go left, and he went all the way around the roundabout again, just so he could follow me, a woman on my own, into the car park.
Nice.
And I was just like, nice. You're a choice specimen of humanity, aren't you? So I called 101. And I was still going through their
automated menu
of please don't call us about coronavirus. But when he saw me on the phone, he ran off like the big man that he was.
I kind of, having not twisted anybody's arm off or strangled anybody for more than a month now, I'd be delighted if somebody tried. I'm quite up for it right now. That kind of thing certainly would be more than welcome for me. I'm
glad he ran away because, you know, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Although I would have kicked a door into his face if he got close enough. Anyway, but that was not a productive use of anger. He was obviously having a bad day. That was clearly not about me at all. I was just the person who chose not to take his shit for 5 seconds. But that's not a productive way to use anger. And my reaction to him was not productive either.
No.
I should have just ignored him, but I didn't. But I think of the two of us, the bigger twat was him. So I'm calling that a win for me. Anyway, but if you're thinking about writing and generally working and writing a book and generally writing, by all means write angry, but never hit publish on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and there's a couple of reasons to do this. First of all, anger produces incoherent nonsense. Just look at half of Facebook and you will see this to be true. If you look at the really angry people who are
and
like...
another thing.
No, they're not even that coherent half the time. It's just like, rage, 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 you're a twat, rage, rage, rage. And there is no punctuation, barely any spelling, and it's one massive run-on paragraph. And you're just like, I'm not even going to read that, let alone, spend time on it. So, yeah, if you're angry, by all means, write it out.
Use it as a tool for getting words out.
Yeah, use it as a tool for getting the rage out of your head and onto a piece of paper, because that's a really, really useful thing. Do not, for the love of all that is holy, hit publish or post or whatever, because it's just going to reflect really badly on you. And even if you delete it, you can guarantee that somebody will have a really, 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 really quick trigger finger and screenshot that shit, and then it will come back to bite you on the arse later on. It totally will. Because if anybody writes like super angry comments on my stuff, I will always screenshot it, because sometimes it makes me laugh and sometimes I just want evidence in case it escalates. But yeah, it never goes away. It never goes away. So don't post stuff. Just, have a big rant on a blank piece of paper and then be like, okay, I feel better now. Am I justified? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. Have I overreacted?
Have I overreacted? Almost certainly yes, is the answer. Then you can look at it and be like, okay, so what are the good points I can take out of this incoherent rant? And those good points you can take out and use in a non-ragey way. And the ranty, angry stuff, you can just ignore and allow that to be what comes out of your head and in a cathartic kind of... Because you do have to let go of anger. Because if you bottle it up, it is really destructive, isn't it? You can't stay... And it's exhausting as well. It's like you can't... It takes effort to stay angry with somebody for more than a few minutes. It takes quite a lot of effort, which is why one of my tactics is if I get angry or if somebody annoys me or if you wind me up, I will walk away for a while and I'll be like, am I still angry? And it's after a few minutes, it becomes a real effort to stay cross, and it's like, oh, this is ridiculous now. I'm everything's fine.
If I wind you up. If I wind you up.
What did you do yesterday and then you were disappointed that you didn't make me angry?
So I hung out the laundry on the spinny laundry wheel thing outside.
The rotary washing line.
The rotary washing line thing, yeah. And I know you're very particular about how you do it.
I am. I'm a bit of a dick about putting water.
And if there's you doing it and I come and help, you usually tell me to stop because I'm not hanging it right. And it's like, okay, well, I tried. So because I was hanging it out, I just did all of the things that I know you wouldn't like.
But I feel the need to point out here that if I am hanging it out and I'm there, I like to do it because I'm very particular. If you're hanging it out on your own, I don't actually care that much how you hang it out as long as it gets hung out. But you were like, did you notice I'd hung the washing out? And I was like, yeah, it was cool. I asked you to. And then you were like, did you notice it was all wonky and shit? And I was like, yeah, it was cool. And you were like, oh.
Like I didn't match the types of clothes pegs. I didn't.
You're making me sound like a crazy person.
I didn't correctly sequence the types of clothes pegs.
You were making me sound like a crazy person.
I deliberately put things on the wonk. I hung like dishcloths off towels and things, which I thought was inspired.
Yeah, but no,
it just didn't work. It didn't work.
No, I thought
why did it not drive you crazy?
Because I thought that was because the little dishcloth pad, the little pads, the little like stuff pads that you can put in the wash and rewash, and they're quite thick, and so if you're trying to like clip that to the washing liners, it can be quite difficult. So, but it's the towel is thinner, and I thought, oh, Joe's come up with a really innovative way to dry this.
I was just trying to wind you up.
Anyway, so that was a really long way of saying that sometimes Joe does try and wind me up.
Yeah.
And you failed.
So
yeah, anger, don't bottle it up. If somebody tries to wind you up by hanging out the washing wrong, just yell at them. Don't yell at them. It's not very nice. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of, there's like a funny video going around on Facebook of a guy who was being interviewed on television, and his teenage boy walks into the room and he absolutely lets rip at him and swears at him and tells him to fuck off. And I was like, I don't think that's funny. I think that's horrible. Why would you talk to your child like that? So yeah, destructive, because that teenager is not going to forget that. And it's like, people are going to be listening to this going, oh, like not, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, it's not very nice being shouted at.
Yeah, I guess they just have that kind of...
I want to rescue him from his dad.
He probably swears at his dad.
Well, good, he should.
Loudly, frequently.
Yeah, you make your bed. Anyway, so, don't publish what you write angry, especially if you print it in a book, because that shit is never going away. It will come back to bite you wherever you do it. So if you write angry and yell at the people you're angry at absolute worst, you could be done for libel. Because, you say all sorts of stuff. And you have to, even if it's true, people don't realise this, even if you write something awful about somebody and it's true, you can still be done for libel. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's about defamation and making people look bad in print, and also not having a right of reply. And you've got to remember this. If you're writing a book and you're writing something angry about somebody, they have literally no right to reply. They have no way of recourse to that. If you look at journalism, they will always try and get both sides of the story. If they can't get somebody to comment, they will specifically say, we tried to contact X for comment and they were unavailable for comment or refused to comment.
To be fair though, sometimes that is quite irritating when the topic that I'm trying to think of an example, like I'm sure I heard an interview on the radio a while back where they had, on the one side, they had the viewpoint of a medical doctor with 6 degrees, 20 years experience, and was head of a large organisation, and he was like super qualified. And on the other side was a man called Brian who
homeopathy.
Did crystal faith healing or something, and it's just like
no, that's
not a balanced argument.
It's not a balanced argument, and I totally agree with you there. It's like you don't need to bother. But what they should have done was got 2 actual scientists with opposing opinions. That would have been a balanced argument. So I agree with you there. Anyway,
apologies to any listeners who do crystal faith Reiki or whatever.
No,
don't want to offend you.
I don't mind. So yeah, it's instead you can take your anger and use it for something good. Don't say stuff that is going to hurt people deliberately, because that's just mean. And that, by the way, isn't the same thing as saying, homeopathy and stuff doesn't work. It's like, if you disagree with me, that's fine, but I'm not saying it to be mean. If I was going to say something like, oh, all Brexiteers are stupid, that's a mean thing to say, and it's also not true. Because that's just a difference of opinion. It's fine. So that's not the same thing. But being angry and writing stuff in anger, you can write really hurtful stuff, and it's not fair, especially if it's printed in a book, because the person who is being metaphorically yelled at doesn't get a chance to reply to that in print unless you've contacted them, and you're probably not going to do that if you're angry with them. So yeah, it's. A quick flash of anger can lead you to say really thoughtful things, and it can hurt and mislead as well. It can be very misleading because you're not thinking straight when you're angry. I think as well, nobody looks good when they're yelling. No, they don't. Quite aside from any damage you are doing to somebody else or any hurt you are launching at somebody or any offence you are causing. Yeah, it just reflects badly. It just reflects badly on yourself. You don't look good. And related to that, if you see somebody has given you a bad review or something on Facebook, or has just written something shitty in response to something you've done, if your review's on Amazon, don't reply to it at all. Just don't, because there is no way that you can come out of that looking good. There is no way. Either it's a reasonable review and it's just somebody's opinion, in which case you can have a look once you've got over the initial. You can have a look and think, do they have any points? Can I improve my next book based on what they've said? And if they can, then that's great. If it's just a mean-spirited rant, other people will see it as a mean-spirited rant, and you don't need to worry about it reflecting badly on you. Yeah. And that goes for stuff if you've got adverts and stuff out on Facebook as well. If you've got, don't ever read the YouTube comments, because I don't know what's wrong with people on YouTube, but there's something wrong with them. Never read the YouTube comments, and just don't bother replying. You cannot win arguments on the internet by meeting that kind of anger with anger, because it's just going to rile people up even further. Yep. And it will just degenerate into an ad hominem argument of calling each other a dick, which just makes everybody look stupid. What's the saying? Don't try and play chess with a pigeon, because the pigeon will just shit all over the board and have a great time doing it. Strut off like it's won. Yeah, which is basically what arguing on the internet is, isn't it? Yeah. And so yeah, it's pointless. There are ways that you can, if you get a negative comment on like a Facebook ad or something, I've seen people deal with it really easily and be like, oh, okay, so what makes you say that? And I've seen them turn people from like rabidly raging at them to buying their product by talking to them nicely in a Facebook comment kind of thing. If you've got the time to do that, then go for it. Otherwise, just ignore them. Just leave it to it. Yeah, because it's no point. So, how can you use anger in writing a book? You can use it to find the truth.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm not talking about like things that make you irrationally angry and you're just like, bleh. I'm talking about stuff that makes you angry in your industry. So what gives you the righteous rage when you think about your industry and other people in your industry? So for me, it's people who claim that writing a book is super easy and here's a book in a box template and here is a little cookie cutter blah and you can have a really good book and it should just be a glorified business card. That makes me really cross. For a variety of reasons that I go into in detail elsewhere. But I use that to explain why what I do is, in my opinion, better. It's a better way to write a book. You will write a better book that way. And you can use that rage to allow you to write calmly about what you believe, what you think, what your viewpoint is. And that's really, really, really important. Because those things that make you angry are the things that are going to make you stand out. Because most people don't want to take an opposing viewpoint of anything because it's conflict. Conflict is scary. Conflict is stressful. You don't want people to disagree with you.
Sure.
And so if you put an opinion out there that says, actually, I don't like that write a book in a weekend kind of thing. I don't think that is a very ingenuous way of telling people that they can write a book, because I don't think most people, not everybody, I don't think the vast majority of people will write anything close to a good book in a weekend. And also, half the time, they're kind of lying anyway, because what they mean is get your shitty first draft scrawled out. That's not writing a book in a weekend. That's not the whole editing process. That's not getting it ready to... So I think there's a lot of shadiness going around with claims like that. And that makes me cross because it makes people think, oh, it's super, super easy, I can do it. And then they become really frustrated and disappointed. When it's not, and when they can't do it, and when they realise that actually they're not at all happy with the thing that they've produced in the weekend because they haven't put enough time into it. So that kind of anger, you can take that and use it to explain your point of view and to take the opposing point of view to what a lot of people say, because especially in my industry and in the marketing industry in general, there's a lot of focus on make it sound easy, and that is true to a point. You don't want to make something sound so difficult that somebody's not going to be able to do it. But at the same time, you don't want to mislead people and make it sound so easy. It's like the get rich quick thing. Yeah. Hit this button and turn on a £1 million tap. Make £1 million in your slippers from a beach.
Yeah.
It's just not how it happens.
Multiply your profits by 10. Just
by
do
doing
this one simple
thing. It's never that simple. And it's a lie, and it makes me cross. And it should make you cross too. And if you're one of the people who makes claims like that, go and have a think about what you've done. Because it's not fair. Because it's playing on people's fears and people's desire for more. And without being honest about it. So yeah, use the seeds of what makes you angry to figure out why you're angry, what's wrong with the industry or the example that you picked, and how you think it should be fixed. That's really important. Don't just be angry about it, because that's pointless and destructive. What can you do how can you take the thing that you're angry about and flip it? How can you figure out a way that people can do things? And the second type of anger is anger at yourself or others when things don't go your way. We've talked a little bit about reviews already because I'm going in a circular, hungry little fuzz. But if you are angry at yourself for not being able to do a very good job, for not being able to write like I was this morning, it's like, I can't write, I literally can't form a sentence. Meh. That's really, really pointless if you hold on to it. So don't just sit there and rage at yourself. Go and do something else. In the words of Elsa, let it go, let it go. I've forgotten the rest of the words.
Good.
Do, do, do. Do,
We're
do,
not going
do.
to apologise for this musical interlude.
I'm really hungry. Be kind to yourself and try a little empathy for others.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it's not about you. Like Road Rage Dude the other day, that wasn't about me.
No, he's probably got somebody sick in his family, or he's lost his job, or he's worried about money, or blah, 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 blah.
Which is no excuse for following me into a car park, but, I can look at that and think, I know that wasn't about me.
Yeah, dude is a douche canoe, but...
Yeah. It's like if somebody writes an angry comment on your Facebook post, it's almost certainly not about you.
Yeah.
It's like, have a think about also why you're cross. Because this is something else that I do. It's like if somebody makes me cross, it's like, why has that triggered me to be cross? And it's like, sometimes it's because the person's got a point. And deep down, I know that maybe they've got a point. They might not have put it very well, but maybe they've got a point. Other times, I think that's actually an attack on my core belief system. And really, that's got nothing to do with anybody else. So why do I care what somebody else thinks?
You can rationalise your way out of the anger.
Yeah, you can absolutely rationalise your way out of anger or hurt. And it takes practice, but And the third thing that I do, again, is like if somebody upsets me or somebody says something that makes me cross or upsets me, is their name on the list of people whose opinions I genuinely give a shit about? Because if it's not, and I actually have that list, by the way, have it written down.
It's a real physical thing.
It's a real physical thing. If their name is not on my piece of paper, let it go. Why are you giving them the bandwidth? I'm not saying that they're not worthwhile as a person. What I'm saying is, in this instance, their opinion doesn't mean anything to you. So why are you letting it get to you? So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and this all goes for writing your book as well. If you're asking for feedback from people, this is another thing. If you get bad feedback, ask for it, solicit it, say, I really want to know what you think. And then you have invited that in. Hope that people are still kind rather than mean about it. But, you can say, okay, well, I've asked people for this feedback. I asked for it because I want to make it better.
Yeah. How can I improve this thing?
Yeah.
And then you get answers that are useful.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that, really.
That's it?
Yeah. Be kind to yourself, have a little bit of empathy for others, ignore the opinions of people who are not on your piece of paper.
Do not publish the angry words.
Do not publish the angry words. Do not publish the angry words. And do not argue with bad reviews, ever.
Yeah.
Never argue with bad reviews. It can only make you look bad. It will never make the other person look bad. It will always make you look bad. Just there's loads of stuff there to take away. But yeah, just have a think about, why you might be angry, what you can do to dissipate the anger, what you can do to use the anger as a kind of proactive thing to do. So what's the takeaway?
Count to an appropriately high number before you say or definitely write anything that you can't take back.
Yeah, for sure.
Do not publish
angry
words.
Do not publish angry words. And if there are negative people in your life, just let them go. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe people your time or attention.
Yeah.
And I think at the moment it's really important to remember that everybody is going through some shit and cut them a bit of slack.
Everybody is going through some shit.
Yeah, even the people who look on the surface like they're having a really nice time and a really nice life, those people I guarantee you, those people are suffering and having bad days as well. Because I'm one of them. And it looks on the surface like everything is super shiny and happy. And it's not, actually. Some days it's really horrible. And there are other days when I feel really guilty about that because, I think, oh, I've got a really good life and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that everything is shiny, happy, rosy for me all the time. Especially when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like right now.
We need some lunch.
Yeah, we need some lunch, so we're going to go and make some lunch. Anyway, coming up next week, the 7 Deadly Sins series is over.
Thank goodness for that.
And before we start the next series, which is writing excuses.
Okay.
I'm going to be interviewing. I have interviewed. I am releasing my interview with Hilary Weiss about branding and copywriting. She is super smart. She has amazing style. Really love her kind of look and her branding and stuff like that. And it was really great fun talking with her. So tune in next week to listen to me and Hilary nattering. And yeah, if in the meantime, what's going on in my world? My waiting list for my live blank page to book in 90 days course is open. No, it's not open. It's opening on May the 1st. And the course starts on June the 1st. So watch out for that. We'll be releasing the URL soon.
If you fire emails to us, then we will put you on a list.
Absolutely.
But in a few days, there will be the online form.
Yes. And you can email me. Oh, if you've listened to every episode, you can email me with your postal address and I will send you a special superfan gift. And if you like this podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe. It helps us climb the rankings and rate us, review us.
5 stars.
5 stars. And yeah, that is that really.
That's us.
Take care, stay well and have fun and write your book.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.